Shalom, Israel, Shalom, Israel, Shalom, Judah. All praises and glory due to the Most High Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Bashem Rekakadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders. Double honors to the brothers doing this work. And double honors to the prophets that was before us and the prophets that's here today with us in this time we living in. And shalom to all our brothers and sisters, the poor and needy that's out there struggling, fighting for survival. And shalom to our brothers and sisters that's incarcerated, locked up in these prisons and these jails due to this unjust system. And this is some news came out today, March the 14th. March the 14th, 2021. And the title of this lesson is Mississippi Jackson Water Crisis. Poor blacks suffer the worst. And before I continue to go on with this lesson, I was given a strike on my one channel, Omar Hassan Dura Rashadim. This is my backup channel, Judah Meek Israel, Servant of Yahweh. And I have another channel, Jacob Judah. And I have a Vaimo, Judah Meek Israel Omar. They gave me a strike because I did a lesson on the New World Order, MOB. But we know the famine of the word is approaching. It's here. And it's just a matter of time. They're going to be shutting down whole social media. They censoring people videos. They, deleting comments. And many people, they doing this to a lot of people. So the family of the word is approaching and it's here. And due to this lesson, we know Mississippi is Mississippi is the poorest state in America. Okay. And our people are suffering worse. Mississippi Jackson water crisis. Poor blacks suffer the worst. And poor blacks are suffering the worst. And I'm going to read a little of this news article. But we know this is part of the curses, us being in captivity. So, but we gradually coming out. And our Redeemer has come. It's around the corner, and it's just a matter of the time. He's going to redeem the poor righteous Israel. Okay? He's going to redeem Israel and Judah, the house of Judah and the house of Israel. All right? We've been in bondage for over 400 years, 400 years or more, and we just about we at the end. So, in Genesis chapter 15, verse 14, he said he would bring us out with great substance. But we know this is great tribulation, Jacob's trouble, and these are the things we still got to deal with until we come out, until he come and redeem us. This news article, it reads, Summoned to the South by Marion Wright on the NAACP Senators Robert F. Kennedy and Joseph Clark traveled to Mississippi Delta in the spring of 1967 to assess the effectiveness of the federal war on poverty programs. Wright had tested before Congress that the people of her state were starving in agony. Although forewarned, the white senators were stunned to witness the extremists of Mississippi soul-crushing poverty right in the middle of one of the wealthiest nations on earth. And Democrats, the Congressional Black Caucus, they are some of the biggest sellouts, and they're not for black people. They're totally against black people, although they perpetrate and say they with us, they represent us. But their actions and their agenda are far removed of helping us. They for the immigrants, okay? They're not for us, and they're not speaking on behalf of such things like this, Mississippi, the water. And I'm going to continue to read. It says, after repeated attempts to engage one young, seemingly nonverbal African-American boy, his stomach swollen from malnourishment, picking through dry rice and beans on the dirt floor of a shack. Bobby Kennedy, the father of 11 children, quickly turned and walked outside. He did not want the photographers who would complain him to catch the tears welling up in his eyes. The depth of Mississippi's poverty was almost too much for Kennedy to bear. Speaking morally about children with destined stomachs, Kennedy urged the federal government to do something to alleviate the state's widespread suffering, deeming house inadequate, and commenting on the insufficient clothing of the state's impoverished children. He rightly concluded that Mississippi was a terrible reflection on our society. And it is, man. And it says, now 54 years later, it is necessary to ask the federal government to intervene in the state again. Many of the primarily black residents of Mississippi capital Jackson spent weeks without running water. Mississippi capital. It says many of the primary black residents of Mississippi capital Jackson spent weeks without running water after a cold spell burst a huge number of the city's pipes. According to Mississippi Today, over 40,000 people, the equivalent of a sold-out game at Riley Field, were not able to drink, bath, or wash clothes, dishes, hands, or even flush toilets all during the pandemic. Wow. Today, over 40,000 people, the equivalent of a sold-out game at Riley Field, were not able to drink, bath, or wash clothes, dishes, hands, or even flush toilets all during the pandemic. And the Congressional Black Caucus is one of the perpetrators in our genocide. They right along with the Biden, and they endorsed President Biden to get in office last year in April. Maxine Waters, Karen Bass, Bobby L. Rush, James E. Clyburn, Bobby Scott, whole bunch of them, man. Sanford Bishop, Eddie Johnson, Elsie Hastings. All these are sellouts working against us and for immigrations, for outsiders. And let me get a scripture right quick. So these are the curses we're dealing with. Let's go to Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it should come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord, our power, thy God, the Most High Yahweh, to observe to do all his commandments and his statutes which I commanded thee this day, that all these curses should come upon thee and overtake thee. And all these curses had came upon us and overtook us. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 16. Cursed shalt thou be in the city. Cursed shalt thou be in the city, and cursed shalt thou be in the field. These are the curses. And I'm going to go to another scripture. Let's go to Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 14. Thou shalt not oppress an hired servant that is poor and needy, whether he be of thy brethren or of thy strangers that are in thy land within thy gates. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 15. And his day thou shalt give him his hire, neither shall the sun go down upon it. For he is poor, and sitteth his heart upon it, lest he cry against thee unto the Lord Yahweh, and it be sin unto thee. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 16. The father should not be put to death for the children, neither should the children be put to death for the fathers. Every man should be put to death for his own sin. Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 17. Thou shalt not pervert the judgment of the stranger, nor of the fatherless, nor take widows' raiment to pledge. In Deuteronomy chapter 24, verse 18. But thou shalt remember that thou was a bondman, and we still bondmen. So we coming out. But thou shalt remember that thou was a bondman in Egypt. Egypt is spiritual. It means a house of bondage, okay? America is a modern day Egypt. America is a modern day Babylon. America is a modern day Sodom and Gomorrah. America is a modern day Rome. But America is a modern day Egypt. But thou shalt remember thou was a bondman in Egypt, and the Lord Yahweh, our power, thy God, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, redeem thee. Redeem thee. Thence, therefore, I command thee to do this thing. So, a matter of time, we're going to be redeemed out of the hands of the wicked, out of the hands of our oppressors, our slave masters. And let's go to right here. Maccabees, these sellouts, Congressional Black Caucus, they sold us out. All right, Israel, they made a covenant with the heathens. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, who persuaded many, saying, let us go make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow, and we having a lot of sorrow. These sellouts. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men, and it includes women too. It says men because men are the head of the women, who persuaded many, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. And these sellouts, Congressional Black Caucus, and that was just a few I named, Maxine Waters and all of them. They got a great grievous judgment coming, okay? They are going into Isaiah chapter 30, verse 1. They're adding sin to sin. They selling their people completely out. They not for us. They totally against us, but talking like they for us. But their actions are far removed. So our people here in Mississippi, and not just in Mississippi, throughout the whole America, throughout the world, Israel is scattered. Judah is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. But mostly Judah is here in America, Great Babylon. All right, this is where a lot of the Judahs is at here in America. Let me see where I'm at. They only allow me to get 15 minutes, so I got to speed it up. And it says, let's go here. Let's go to Job chapter 36, verse 15. He delivered the poor in his affliction and opened their ears in oppression. Job chapter 36, verse 16. Even so would he have removed thee out of that strait into a broad place where there is no straightness, and that which should be set on thy table should be full of fatness. Job chapter 36, verse 17. But thou hast fulfilled the judgment of the wicked. But thou hast fulfilled the judgment of the wicked. Judgment and justice take hold on thee. And that's going to happen. Let me go right here. Let's go to Job. Let's see if I can get Job. Job right here. It's a matter of time. And how they did us, Judah, the so-called African-American Negroes, is terrible, man. And they're going to pay. Esau and the wicked of our own 2/3 people, the sellouts, is going to pay. Job chapter 3, verse 19. Egypt should be a desolation. And Edom is Caucasian, and the Edomites, the heathens. Edom is Esau, Edom, the Caucasian man. And Edom should be a desolate wilderness for the violence against the children of Judah. Okay? Judah is here in America, the so-called African-American Negroes. Also, Judah is scattered throughout the four corners of the earth, but mostly here in America, Great Babylon. For the violence against the children of Judah, because they have shed innocent blood in their hand. Job chapter 3, verse 20. But Judah should dwell forever. But Judah should dwell forever, and Jerusalem for generation to generation. But Judah should dwell forever, and Jerusalem from generation to generation. In Job chapter 3, verse 21. For I will cleanse their blood that I have not cleansed. For the Lord Yahweh our power, Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai, dwelleth in Zion. So he's going to cleanse us. He's going to redeem us. He's going to save us. And I got to speed it up. And here go one right here. Wisdom in Solomon, chapter 2, verse 10. Let us oppress the poor righteous man. Let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient gray hairs of the age. So these devils going to be put down. It's just a matter of time. Let me see where I'm at. I wish I can read some more of this article. But They're oppressing the poor. That being said, Shalom Israel, Shalom Israel, Shalom Judah.